Do we need to have a pledge? Sorry. But I'm going to do it anyways. Yeah. If you could join me in a pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call of supervisors, please? Want to show?
They show Amy how to use it.
Okay. Supervisor Gable is excused. At this time, we will move on to the oath of office. Supervisor Mauer, if you could come
Mauer.
up, please.
Just raise your right hand and repeat after me and state your name. I,
Amy Mauer,
having been duly elected to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 15,
County Board Supervisor, District 15,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the said office
of the said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. I will get copies of all this for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Announcement of the chair. Just like to welcome Supervisor Mauer, 15th District. Look forward to working with you in the future. That's all I have. Supervisor reports. Seeing none, supervisor reports are closed. County Clerk.
County Executive Appointments, Thomas Hanchey to serve on the Kenosha County Traffic Safety Commission.
Refer to Public Works.
Rory Zerline to serve on the Kenosha County Traffic Safety Commission.
Refer to Public Works.
Michael Underhill to serve on the Kenosha County Library System Board.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
Richard Willoughby to serve on the Kenosha County Human Services Board.
Refer to Human Services.
John O'Day to serve on the Kenosha County Human Services Board.
Refer to Human Services.
Resolution to purchase property at 5511 11th Avenue.
Refer to Public Works and Finance.
Resolution from Supervisors Rodriguez, Gashke, Esposito, Wambold, Uhas, Gens, Kubicki, Day, Boyd Frederick, Nordigan, Grady, I think, is it you, Gabe? Nudo? Sorry. I can't read everyone's signatures. Usually I have a name underneath. And Ron Frederick.
There's 2 pages there, Mary.
Oh, I apologize. I did not see all those pages. Terry Rose, Alverman, Skalitsky, Berg, Franco, and Ron Frederick. I think I got everyone.
Finished the resolution, no? Okay. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved. Second.
I have a first by Supervisor Rodriguez and a second by Supervisor Gashke. It's a non-debatable issue, but we do need to have a roll call vote. Yes, if you're in favor of suspending the rules to take this resolution up tonight. No, if you are not.
I will repeat that. It's a resolution calling for the Parole Commission tonight. I didn't say this.
That's why I asked you if you were.
Sorry.
You can say that. That resolution passes 20 to 2. Okay. With that being said, we're on the resolution. The resolution before us, can I have a motion?
Rodriguez.
No. Supervisor Gashke, Supervisor Rodriguez made the motion, correct? First? Suspend the rules, okay. With that, can I have a motion to move the resolution, please?
So moved.
Okay. Okay. I have a motion by Supervisor Rodriguez and a second by Supervisor Gaske.
And let me name the resolution.
Hmm?
I'm going to name the resolution.
Yes, please.
So we gave a list of the supervisors that supported and brought the resolution forward. We did not name the resolution. It's a resolution calling for the Parole Commission to deny parole.
Supervisor Rodriguez, you have the floor.
I briefly talked about this at our last meeting, my intentions with having Corp Counsel help myself and Supervisor Gaske draft this resolution. Being that Supervisor Gaske is closer with the family than myself, I'm going to refer to Supervisor Gaske.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Gaske, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez, for partnering with me on this resolution. I just want to make a few introductory remarks. Really, my interest in this situation is twofold. One, it includes public safety, and secondly, it includes victims' rights. As far as the public safety concern goes, our responsibility as a county board is to protect our community by providing and maintaining safe roads, food safety concerns, human services, but also to protect our community from potentially dangerous people. And much has been said about this resolution, and if you've had a chance to read it, you understand that had this crime occurred today, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Sentencing rules have changed because of this and other similar crimes that have occurred, which would not even allow situations like this to come before the parole board. So I'm simply speaking on behalf of the public safety that the parole board denies parole to this individual. But as I mentioned, secondarily, I'm speaking on behalf of the victim's rights. My district includes the neighborhood where the Veit family grew up and continues to be active participants in. But the Veit family is more than simply constituents. They are personal friends of mine. And I can speak from personal experience that this crime, this tragedy that their family has experienced has changed them. And it's unfortunate that every time this individual comes up before the parole board, the Veit family and others throughout the community are re-victimized. And so that's really my primary concern tonight, is speaking on behalf of the victims and their family in order to prevent them from continually being re-victimized with the uncertainty of whether or not this individual will stay behind bars as he should. I will be voting, obviously, in favor of this, and I'd encourage you to as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Gaske. I'm going to clear the board. Is there any discussion in regards to this resolution? Supervisor Decker.
I'm speaking now because I'm going to vote against this resolution. And I understand that everyone here is most likely going to vote for it, and this is not to convince you or try to sway you to vote against this resolution. I just want to state what I know and who I've talked to. So I was 7 years old when this crime happened, and this crime happened up the block from my parents' house where I lived. My sister was on the bus when they got off the bus and shot Mr. Veit. Eric Nelson was a friend of my cousin. They were friends in 8th grade. He lived up the street down Velmar from my cousin Jim. Eric Veit lived in a house down Velmar. His mom moved him in. She was divorced. They had no running water in their house. Their house had no well. How do you move into a house with no well and no running water? Eric's mom would, and this is all from, because I was 7, I don't remember any of this. This is coming from my aunt. Eric used to come over to their house very often and eat dinner at their house a lot. He used to come to their house a lot and shower a lot because they didn't have running water in their house. His mom used to go to Las Vegas with her girlfriend for a week at a time over weekends, leaving an 8th grade boy by himself in the house. So that's why he would hang out with my cousin. I talked to my aunt this past Saturday, and I actually asked her, I said, what do you think about Eric Nelson? And she said, I knew him when he was in 8th grade. He was the nicest kid, always so polite, and he used to spend a lot of time at our house. Then, because they were in grade school together, they were in the same grade. Then when they got into high school, Eric actually went to Central High School back then, he was in classes called special ed. Nowadays, they don't call it that, but back then it was special ed. My aunt doesn't know why he went to Central High School, but it was because of special ed. She doesn't know why he was in special ed classes. But after he went to high school, that's when he stopped being friends, or they just separated because they were in different classes, different schools. And I wonder if he had still been friends with my cousin, if things would have been different for him. I asked my mom and dad, because they knew Joe Veit, they were neighbors, and I asked them, I said, do you think Eric Nelson should be released? And both my parents said, yeah, that he's served long enough, that he was 16 when he did it. I know they had met Eric a couple of times when we went over to my aunt's house. I asked my sister who actually got off the bus with them. She actually testified against Eric at the court hearing because she was a witness. She testified that, that she got off the bus with them, that yes, he got off the bus. And she actually went over to my cousin's house a day or two later after she testified, and it just so happens that Eric Nelson called collect to my cousin Jimmy and talked to my cousin Jimmy while my sister was there, and he had no ill words for my sister or anything like that. I called my sister and asked her what she thought about this. She said she had seen a Dateline in 2006, and she believed that Eric Nelson had changed by seeing that Dateline episode. My sister, who's 7 years older than me, she was a freshman in high school then. She was a former Milwaukee police officer, saw horrible things, actually was in the sensitive crimes unit, crimes against children, so she saw horrible crimes against children, and after seeing that episode in 2006, she said she wrote him a letter because he moved her enough for her to write. She had never written him before, and he wrote her back. She didn't write him back, but she said she's gotten a Christmas card every year from him. She doesn't send back, but I asked her, this hardened cop who put away many people, if she thinks that Eric Nelson should be let go, and she said yes. So that's why I'm voting no on this resolution. It has nothing to do with the Veit family. When Supervisor Gaschke talked about how had this crime happened now, things would be different. I would like to think that things would be different, that if Eric Nelson were living in today as an 8th grader, that the county wouldn't let him move into a house that doesn't have water, that wouldn't have him in a house where he's neglected and his mom is gone for weeks at a time in Las Vegas partying with their girlfriend, that Kenosha County Human Services would be looking after him, and Eric Veit would have a different life than he did now, because Kenosha County helps our citizens more now than they did in 1985. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Franco, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Since this resolution is not being sent to committee for discussion, I'd like to just say a few words. The issue before this body is, do we send a message to the parole board in regard to this individual, and should he be denied parole? I will be honest, when I first heard or read the language of the resolution, I thought to myself, I really have no idea. Why do I say this? Because frankly, I don't think I'm in a position to know the necessary information to make such a judgment, nor do I think I'm qualified to do so. I'm not a criminal psychologist, and besides, isn't this precisely the job of the parole board? To decide whether a person will be released, one would have to meet certain legal criteria set by the parole commission. The central issue is not whether we want his parole denied, but whether the legal threshold is met. These are two separate questions. However, I'm also aware that the parole board does accept feedback from citizens as one of several factors considered, and this is why this resolution is before us. I guess what I'm struggling with is trying to understand the purpose of this resolution. Are we being asked to send an informed opinion with all of the relevant historical, legal, and social factors of this controversial question considered, or is this simply an expression of moral outrage against this horrible crime committed in 1985, combined with a concern for public safety, as well as a message of solidarity with the Veit family? If it is the former, I would have a hard time voting yes. However, I believe it's the latter, which is being asked of us today. We can and should leave this difficult legal question or decision with all the necessary mitigating factors to the parole board. I do not envy them. I trust they will make an impartial, objective, and just decision, whatever that decision is. On the other hand, as supervisors, we have a responsibility to safeguard and protect our community. I understand that. Moreover, I can't vote against this resolution either, because I think it's important that we identify with the pain and suffering of those who've been victimized by this vicious act. So with that being said, I can't make a decision. I'm going to abstain from this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Seeing no discussion on this resolution, is there a roll call that's requested? This roll call has been requested. Yes if you're in favor of this resolution, no if you are not. Resolution passes
17 to 1. 17.
17 to 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. Thank you.
Communications from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file.
Motion.
I have a motion to adjourn. First by Supervisor Rodriguez, a second by Supervisor Uhas. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.